And stupid Atlas was like, oh yeah, I got you, bro. And then Hercules left with the apples. This story amuses me a lot. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Lana if you're new, and welcome to episode 4 of a new series I'm doing on my channel, Makeup and Mythology, where I do my makeup and also tell you an ancient myth. In the last episode, we covered the Greek god of the sky, Zeus, and his whole life. For this episode, we're going to do Hercules, one of Zeus's many sons. So if anything, this may be a slight continuation from last week's episode. So you may or may not be familiar with Hercules from the Disney movie Hercules. And while that story is very nice, very wholesome, it is missing a lot of the gory details, you know, as a lot of Disney movies are. Hercules is perhaps best known for his superhuman strength, and this was no surprise because he was a demigod, half god, half mortal, the son of Zeus and a mortal woman named Alcmene. Now if you saw last week's episode, and if you know even the tiniest bit of Greek mythology, you'll know that Zeus was a fuckboy and he liked to sleep around a lot. Now Alcmene was the last mortal woman that Zeus ever slept with, and he wanted his last sexcapade to be special. Alcmene was very beautiful, wise, and virtuous, but he chose her not for his own enjoyment, but because he knew that she was capable of producing the greatest hero of all time. So Zeus wanted this child that he would create with her to be a god. He saw it as a personal project of his, if you will. Alcmene was the descendant of Perseus, son of this woman named Danae that Zeus impregnated as a ray of sunshine. And Perseus was the great hero who slayed the Gorgon Medusa. So, you know, Alcmene's bloodline probably had something to do with her hero-bearing capabilities. So while Alcmene's husband Amphitryon was off fighting a battle, Zeus visited her in the form of Amphitryon and slept with her. When the real Amphitryon came back, he also slept with his wife, and 9 months later she was about to give birth to twins. On the day that Hercules was meant to be born, Zeus took a solemn oath that the descendant of Perseus, born on that day, would grow up to become a great ruler of Greece. But Zeus's wife Hera, in a jealous fit, delayed Alcmene's delivery, and Eurystheus, another one of Perseus' descendants, was born that day, and was therefore destined to rule Greece instead of Hercules. Now Zeus was mad, so he made Hera agree that if Hercules performed 12 tasks for Eurystheus, he would become a god. And Hera was like, okay, fine, whatever. And so Alcmene gave birth to Hercules, son of Zeus, and also Iphicles, son of Amphitryon. Iphicles, and the boys would be raised in the same home in the mortal realm. There's a lot of two babies coming out at once from different fathers in Greek mythology, I realized. So anyway, Hera was not quite done avenging herself for Zeus's affair. So she sent 2 snakes to destroy Hercules as a baby, but he strangled them, one in each hand. Something that I remember seeing in the Disney movie. Hercules grew up to be prone to violence and rash acts. He kind of had anger issues, and not all of it was his fault, honestly. When he was a teenager and taking music lessons, his music tutor told him that he sucked, so he hit his music tutor over the head, and Amphitryon sent him to the hills with the shepherds. Or in contemporary words, he sent him to the ranch. And there Hercules remained until he was like 18. One day, when he grew older, he went searching for this lion that was killing Amphitryon's cattle. And he killed it and made a cape and a hood out of it. So he's often depicted wearing this lion skin garment. After he slayed it, the king of the city that the lion was from demanded that Hercules' city of Thebes pay him a tribute as reparation for killing their lion. And when Hercules met with the people that the king sent to collect the tribute, they were not very polite. So Hercules got hella mad, and he cut off their ears, noses, and hands and sent them home. And this sparked a war that Hercules won with his reckless bravery and also with the help of Athena, the goddess of wisdom. And as a reward for defeating their enemies, King Creon of Thebes gave Hercules his daughter, Megara, to have as his wife, and they had children. Meanwhile, Hera still wasn't done avenging herself for Zeus's affair, and sent a frenzied madness upon Hercules and caused him to slaughter his whole family. And when he came to his senses, he was horrified and overwhelmingly guilty. So he went to the oracle at Delphi to find out how he could atone for his sins and make things right any way that he could. The oracle told him to go to King Eurystheus of Mycenae as a slave and perform whatever tasks he commanded, which of course would allow Hercules to become a god as Zeus had planned. Now Eurystheus was not brave or strong like Hercules, but he was cunning, and he came up with 12 labors that Hercules had to complete, and they were all near impossible. For the average man, that is. But Hercules was no average man, of course. The first task was to slay the Anemian Lion, an animal with a hide that was impenetrable. So Hercules, after shooting a bunch of arrows at it, but to no avail, decided to kill it with his bare hands and his superhuman strength. Labor number 2 was to destroy the Hydra, a serpent with 9 heads and poisonous breath that lived in the swamps and ravaged the cattle and crops. Hercules managed to flush it out of its lair, but he discovered that after cutting off one head, 2 grew in its place. And he finally defeated this monster with the help of his nephew Iolaus, who branded the severed necks. Hercules used the Hydra's blood to poison his arrows. The third labor was to capture a deer with golden horns and bring it back alive. This deer was very special to Artemis, the goddess of the moon, and also hunting, and Hercules didn't want to anger her because he was already on Hera's bad side, so he didn't need another goddess who was mad at him. This task took him an entire year because he just spent a lot of time chasing it around, and finally, when it got tired and looked for a resting place, Hercules shot it before it could get away. And just as he was about to leave with it, he was faced by a very angry Artemis, who healed the deer and let him take it once he explained what he was doing with the 12 tasks. The fourth task was to capture a wild boar that was devastating nearby lands. A lot of these involve animals for some reason. Task 5 was to clean the Augean stables in one day, and these stables had not been cleaned for years, so there was crap everywhere. But Hercules, with his superhuman strength, diverted 2 rivers into the stalls that cleaned up all the crap. Task number 6 was to drive away a bunch of birds that were plaguing the people of Stymphalis. Athena actually helped him drive the birds from their thickets, and Hercules shot at the birds with arrows. I looked it up to see why Athena helped Hercules so much, but the only thing that I could really find is that they have the same father, so maybe it was just, a sibling thing. Athena also did a lot to help him when it came to his fits of rage. For example, when he killed his entire family, she knocked him out before he could kill his stepfather Amphitryon, and she actually prevented him from killing a lot of people that he would have. The 7th labor was to capture a mad Cretan bull, and the 8th was to capture these man-eating horses, which he could only do once he killed their guardians and killed an entire army. The 9th labor, the very first one not involving any animals, was to get the girdle of Hippolyta, the queen of the Amazons. She willingly gave up the girdle, but Hera, who, still somehow wasn't done, told the other Amazons that Hercules was there to actually kidnap their queen, Hippolyta, so when they attacked him, Hercules assumed that the queen was behind the attack, and so he killed the queen and a bunch of the Amazons, and he left with the girdle. So, that kind of sucks. Definitely could have been prevented. The 10th labor was to steal the cattle of Geryon, a triple-bodied monster. And the 11th labor was to get the golden apples of the Hesperides. The Hesperides were the daughters of Atlas, the Titan god holding up the sky, and Atlas actually agreed to help Hercules get the apples on one condition, that Hercules would hold the sky for him for a second. Sus. And when Atlas came back with the apples, he decided that he would let Hercules hold up the sky for him forever. And Hercules was like, "Aw man, aw man. I mean, I'll do it, but I need a cushion for my back first. Please, can you take it back for a sec?" And stupid Atlas was like, "Oh yeah, I got you, bro." And then Hercules left with the apples. This story amuses me a lot. His 12th and final labor was to take on the 3-headed dog Cerberus that guarded the entrance to the underworld. And with his bare hands, he knocked the wind out of the dog, and thus his servitude to Eurystheus was complete. After he completed his 12 labors, he actually went around killing a bunch of people, and eventually he married this woman Deianira, who would be his downfall. So basically the story is that he accidentally killed her brother, so he had to take her and flee, and at a river crossing he put his wife on the back of Nessus, a centaur, and in the middle of the stream Nessus tried to violate her, so Hercules shot him, and before he died Nessus gave Deianira his blood and told her it was a love potion that she could use on Hercules to make him love her, and she took it. Before Hercules met Deianira, he was enamored by this woman, Iole, who was the daughter of King Eurytus, and Eurytus said that whoever beat him in an archery contest could have his daughter's hand in marriage. He didn't keep his promise when Hercules beat him. So Hercules held this grudge even after he married Deianira, and it took him a while, but eventually he hunted down Eurytus and killed him and his sons and kidnapped Iole, and Deianira, upon seeing this, realized that he loved Iole and was very jealous, so she soaked one of Hercules' shirts in Nessus' blood, thinking that it would make him fall in love with her again. When he put it on, he started writhing in pain, and he started dying, because it was poisonous. The blood was poisonous. And apparently while he was writhing in pain, he also picked up some random guy and threw him into the ocean. A random man who was just chillin'. And as he was dying, Hercules uprooted these pine trees and started building a funeral pyre for himself. And when it was completed, he climbed on top of it and asked someone to set him on fire. And when the flames reached his body, Hercules vanished, and he was received on Mount Olympus, where he married Hebe, the goddess of eternal youth, and enjoyed the life of the gods. So the moral of the story is that you can still go to Mount Olympus even if you suck, as long as your dad is looking out for you. And that's it. That's the story of Hercules. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here